Got me some Bontrager wheels we need to inspect, clean, and true, and get them ready to go on the road with this Klein. Right after this.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hi, I'm Justin the guy. Obviously, I have a garage shop. Taking scary how to use bikes one bike at a time.
If you like these videos, please like and subscribe.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hi, I'm Justin the guy. Today, we are going to go through some wheels. These wheels are Bontrager Race, paired spoked wheels front and rear with a race hubs. These were OEM to this particular bike, so that's a good thing. But the bad thing is these rims had an issue back in the day, cracking on the drive side. So to find that, first I need to clean these wheels. After I clean them, then I'm going to put them in the truing stand, wipe them down with a polisher, and really get a good close look at the rims, as well as truing them and making sure they're safe and ready to ride. As in the hubs on these are cartridge bearings, and they are both still very smooth and there's no play, so the hubs are in good shape. If you ever had to do the hubs, there's a cone wrench you need to put in here on both sides to loosen up and pull it apart. That's a whole another thing that we're not doing today. But right now, we're gonna go wash these in the tank and then throw them in the truing stand. Now, since I have those washed, basically I use a light soap dish. It's easy to just put it on a scrub brush, which came out of the sink too. It's an old one. Hey, they work great. You know, it's like one of those things where it has enough bristles to get into all these little nicks and crannies and rinse it off. You know, I don't put a lot of soap on there. Just, you know, the hot water helps to clean this off. I wish I would have known this little trick back in the 90s. We had a shop sink the same size that we could have just whatever save hours of wiping off. So basically all the dust and the main grime is off, and now when I put it in the truing stand, no particular order, it's just preset from the front one last time. It's just a little bit easier to clean and to get into those little parts with a polisher, and you get most of that good gunk off of it. So in that case, we're gonna start inspecting, cleaning, and then we're gonna true them if they're still good. So they seem to be true when I actually worked on them, or inspected it. It seemed to be true. So let's check them out. So I got it in my Parks TS2 truing stand, which is old. Basically it came from the 90s, late 90s. Modifications was to be able to accommodate 29er wheels. You can still use road wheels with the standard one, but for 29ers, I had to use that. There's old magazine. And also same thing with the wider ones here. So I replaced these with the bigger ones with the little nylon stoppers, and also a disc brake attachment, which is a nice little base too, which I kind of like. So I took that truing stand that I had, which you can probably find them in the used market for a couple $100, something like that. But I put out another 100 to actually 200-ish into this just to get it to be modernized. Could I just bought a new one? No, they're still really expensive. But anyway, so when I start cleaning this off, I start off at the valve core, so I have a good start and ending point. And this one is a paired spoke, so you got to go through the distance here. You'll notice there's like a little bump here. This is where the rim is put together and looped together and pinned and welded and ground. So don't be too startled with that. Some are more hidden than others. And then this. And there. And once I got both sides on the rim, then I start again, my spoke blades. You know, this, I clean them, but this also gives me the opportunity to feel that spoke blade, see if it's been bent or dinged. Also polishes them up a little bit. Makes them a little bit cleaner. It's all about presentation, right? Anyway. And I'm using Armor All. I put it in bulk and put it in a bottle since I use so much of it. And this puts a nice little sheen. I mean, people use it for tires and so forth, which you can use it for the tires too. But there's also another product. Let's go for me. Get you back in there. Okay. So at this point, gonna nerd out so I can, you know, see really close. Old age. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and look at each one of these eyelets. Make sure they're not compromised. These look pretty good so far. It only takes one bad one, so we'll see. It was the last one I look at. Okay, those are good. Then you don't want to forget to inspect the hub. Now, these didn't really have any problems back in the day. On the rear, they did. So mostly on the race lights. These are the race, which are pretty decent. And I use a fiber cloth too. When you use a Armor All and you put the fiber on there, it really polishes things up. So it just gives me an opportunity to really get this rim, the pop. And you can do it on the spokes as well. Just makes everything clean. It's all about professionalism and detailing. So when somebody buys a bike from me, I do this to every one of them. So this is what I do. Okay, so since that's good, now I need to inspect and true. Red spoke nipple or spoke wrench usually to tighten the nipples are pretty good. You can have a multi one which has different sides, which I like to have anyway, just in case. And these guys, you got to go light and polite because there's a gap between them, so you got to watch out for that when you trim up. These are in pretty good shape, so not too bad. So a full truing would be, you take the tire off and all that and check for the hop and the dish and all that. And since these are pretty straight, not gonna need to worry about that too much. So the front one is done. Onto the rear where there was more of a mystery and more of a question. And I do have a pile of these wheels in my backyard. I make some yard work out of them or some art or whatever. So again, start with rinse, recycle, repeat with Armor All. Get both sides, clean it up, clean the rims or rim surface. Inspect that as well, because that's where your braking contact is. So you want to make sure that's all intact. And also you want to make sure it's flat, not concaved inwards. If it is a lot, that means it's really losing a lot of material there and it might crack, which I've seen before. So here I'm gonna do the cleaning between the spokes and the rim. So between the washing in the tank and the wiping here and also the polishing rag, I've reviewed the rim at least 3 times, if not more. Start at the valve core again. Do the non-drive side, drive side where the gears are, non-drive side is the opposite. This will be a shorter spoke, longer spokes on the drive as the hub is shifted over, or the flanges are. So you have different lengths on the front wheel. The spokes are even on both sides, same length, because they're centered. That way you can flip-flop it. Obviously you can't flip-flop a rear wheel. Just doesn't work that way. And you have some stubborn dirty bits. I do have a brush to get into there, but since I've been using the tank, I haven't had to use that very much often. Also, these have holes through this side here. You can take a screwdriver, the Phillips, and kind of floss it if you really need to get in there. These look pretty clean. So now, back to my crazy scientist. And what's really nice, I got some natural sun, which I like trimming the wheels when I got the sunlight coming in. That way I can really inspect these. Sometimes I'll take the truing stand outside if it need be to inspect. And again, what I'm looking for is cracks around the rim where the spoke nipple drives through. Sometimes the dirt psychs me out. Think it is, but it isn't. But after further inspection, so far we are good. So when I true these, this is the philosophy of truing is it's actually good. Yay! Now for the spokes and the hub. Beginners really just learn how to true by tightening. Once you become a master wheel builder and all that, you understand that you need to loosen spokes too. So I usually do the loosening of the spokes to start off with, because most of the times the wheels that I end up getting are over tensioned. And for me, since I've been doing so long, I can just tell by how it feels, but there is a tool out there called the tensiometer, which is this guy here. How that works is you put this in here, and that gauges the tension, and by the measurement on the gauge here. So when you're wheel building, you can check them, and that's how you get it to feel or how the tension's correct. So I think I lucked out on this wheel set. It doesn't look like I'm going to have to replace it, which is good. This is nice wheels. Like I said, there was just a batch of them, not all of them, a batch of them that were problematic, or people, when they constantly true them, they just constantly tightened, or also wear, that kind of thing. These are tricky because there's a big gap, so you're kind of just working with averages at this point. Can't. But the rims are beefed up so much, so they really hold up pretty well. So there we go. Oh yeah. And the flanges on these were not cleared out or removed too much material to cause a problem. I've seen them break inside here. So looks like the wheels are true and ready to go. Now I just need to put it all back together and put it back on the wheels, or on the bike. So after the wheels are trued, and clean and inspected and ready to go. Then it's time to put on the cassette on the rear wheel. I put a little bit of grease on this free hub body to keep it from getting corroded on there for easy to take on and off. It's a good little professional tip. These are keyed, so one of the slots will be skinnier than the rest. Sometimes we'll see a plastic cover on these, which prevents the derailleur from going into the spokes. But if this is that the rear derailleur is adjusted correctly, you do not need that. That prevents it. And also those plastic spoke protectors sometimes over age will crack and become more of a hazard binding up in your drivetrain. So I rather have the derailleur adjusted correctly and just get rid of that plastic cover. Most of the time it's plastic on those. And just gonna put the spacers in there, big to small. The last one is a little bit different looking and has ridges on it for the lock ring to grab onto. And just want to make sure there's a little bit of grease on the inside threads there where this lock ring fits in. When I took this off, I needed a chain whip and lock ring tool. This one we just need the lock ring tool to get it, and just go light and polite until it catches its threads. And I'll start hearing this ratcheting feel and sound, and you tighten it up like so. And you want to make sure it's free. So if you get to this stage and you cleaned it, but you still need to clean it some more, you have something stubborn, you can always floss it with a rag to clean in there. Or if you don't want to take it off to clean it, you can floss it also when it's like this too, which is a common use. But you don't want to spray anything, a degreaser or anything directly into the hub area. That can seep into that and cause a lot of problems. So be mindful of that. The quick releases are two different lengths. One's for the rear, one's for the front. And I like to put a drop of Tri-Flow Superior Lube in there just to help with the quick release portion of it. Then I do put a thin layer of grease on the skewer. And obviously the quick release portion you want to put on the opposite side of the cassette. Is quick releases you want on when you're riding the bike, you want on the left side for both of them, front and rear. Just professionalism. You can get it to work, but it's not really designed to be that way. So the rear wheel is ready to go on. And now for the front skewer. I'll layer grease on here. So that keeps it from seizing up. So you'll notice, since the wheel is even spaced on both sides, so technically you can go either direction. But for a professionalism, you'll see like a logo, this one's a B dot, and you want to be able to read that, like on the rear, it's a B dot, so you'd see the drive side. So when you're sitting on the bike, you're reading these upright, not upside down. So the skewer will go on the left side so you can read it, and that's going to fit on the front wheel like so. And you tighten that skewer back up a little bit, and you're ready to install. So before I put the wheels back on there, I got these clean parts I'm going to put on the bike first. But before that even, I'm going to detail the frame, clean it, inspect it, make sure it's all polished, because that's the only time it's really good to get to that frame, to do all that polishing. And once that is all shiny, then the next video is going to be put the parts on, and the next video of stringing the cables, and then the next video of wrapping the bars and going through the final process of it being ready to be launched into its new life. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you like videos like this, please like and subscribe. Until next time, from the garage, have a great day.